Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Your own business coaching, right? And that was how long ago?
So I've been doing 2016 is when I started coaching. So I was coaching, I got my certifications, all that stuff, started my own business. So I was coaching peak performance leadership style. And then over the pandemic is where I had a chance to work for Tony Robbins. I applied, and then a year later they answered back. And so I was I'm not gonna I got to do this. I have to do this. So I was calling. And so I started doing that, and then within a year and a half of doing it, I was there's just the next big thing for there's a hole in my heart, right, in my soul that I need to fulfill, and it was coaching fathers. So I started doing that. So I've been doing it for about 3 years. Coaching fathers, specifically fatherpreneurs.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So you start in 2016, start your own business, 2016 coaching, and you start coaching. You coach all the way up to the pandemic or through the pandemic. Yeah. You hear back from Tony Robbins. You go to work for Tony. Yeah. Which it sounds like changed your life, right?
Yeah. Oh, without doubt.
And then you feel a calling. Yeah. And the calling is to work with dads.
Yeah.
What brought that on, do you think?
Honestly, because I crave meaning more than anything. And one of the moments that shaped my entire life is when my father passed away. Okay. So he passed away when I was 24 years old. That's why I walked away from going overseas or going to Mexico to play basketball, because I wanted to be around Victoria and my family. As he was passing, in the room there was I think 20 people, right? And there was 20 people in this hospital hospital room, and everybody was just embracing the moment, embracing each other in that moment. And I was that's it. That's the ultimate legacy you can actually leave, is these meaningful relationships, right? So there was something there that I knew that was bigger than him just passing. I was obviously sad, very sad, but I was also very inspired, because I knew what my calling was for the rest of my life. And it was up to me to create that, however I saw that would actually fulfill this feeling that I was having. And I was my brother, sister, my mom was there, aunt, uncle, and then friends of the family, and then friends that he had a special relationship with each one of these people, because he lived a certain way, right? Doesn't mean it's right for everyone else, but he lived a certain way, and he really cared. Like I was saying before, he stressed relationships, him and my mother. So I was I truly believe that the most meaningful role I could ever be is a father and a husband. So
I agree with you, by the way.
Beautiful. See, exactly. So it's not I'm coming up with this amazing idea. Right. It's so real for so many people. But it's how do I actually elevate my game in fatherhood, but also lead a mission-driven career? Or if I'm a business owner, have and then staying fit, and then being able to have this mindset and this dialogue in my mind where I need to continue to upgrade this version of myself. So I'm ahead of the game, and I know my kids are always watching. Right. So that's when I was learning all these strategies I had before. I was coaching people, then with Tony Robbins, and then just bam, it just hit me. The pandemic, I was coaching through the pandemic, and I was really getting frustrated because I was so used to being around people and doing things. I'm confined in this area, so it's a lot of soul searching, right? We were stuck in our apartment, so it's kind of thing.
Pandemic affected people in a really, all of them in a different way, but it affected people.
Yeah, all big time.
It changed. I mean, people started, like you're saying, people started looking in, they started figuring out They started re-examining what was important. It was amazing how it's affected people over what I'm learning anyway about how it affected people. It's remarkable.
It's same here.
Yeah. So you make the decision, and you're gonna coach dads.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I couldn't love this more if I tried. But you're gonna coach dads. It's a big thing for me. Part of what we're doing here is we're telling everybody's story, right?
Yeah.
But we also have a thing we do called Mic Time. And Mic Time is literally my friends and family and people that I've worked with and people I work with today. They'll have a rough day, and they'll call me up and they'll go, I just need 5 minutes of Mic Time, right? The world's beating them up, whatever. They call me, and we spend 5-10 minutes on the phone, put them back together, send them back out there, right? They're remotivated, they're ready to go, they're inspired, away they go.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I hired a coach who, by the way, is going to be on our podcast on Thursday.
Oh,
We're doing on Thursday. Sam Crowley's his name. Sam's had his podcast downloaded over 20 million times.
Wow.
He's been on stage with Tony Robbins.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy.
Super good guy, right? Sam, we're interviewing on Thursday. Sam is big about doing a podcast or dropping a podcast episode every single day. So I get on the phone with him for my first coaching call, and he's like, so what are you doing? I get the story thing, I get the interviews, but you're not going to post that every single day. And I said, no. He said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, we should do something that's similar to what you do. He does a 10-minute thing every day.
Oh, beautiful.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
He takes his little iPhone, and he has his coffee, and he goes down to the Dunkin' Donuts down the street from his house, sits in the parking lot in his car, and does a podcast.
Oh, man.
It's just him, right? And he's talking to us, okay? And so I decided to emulate that, and we're calling it Mic Time.
Mic Time.
Well, a big part of Mic Time, and people now know this that have been listening, but a big part of Mic Time is I am passionate about being a dad.
Oh.
And I'm big about, my kids are now 23 and 24 years old, right? And I'm big about dads getting involved in their kids' lives. I believe that dads are not as involved as they should be, and parents, period, are not as involved as they should be. And it's a real passion of mine in terms of, I think there are certain things that I can teach them about the way I raised our kids, and things that I've learned now that I'm on the other side, right, about that. You with me?
Yeah.
So it's a real passion of mine. So I'm gonna bet you that's why Ryan put us together. But that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. So you decide to coach dads, which I could not be more excited about. And it's something that's big on your heart. So you start coaching dads. How is that? So you mentioned something about areas or groups or something. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So again, a lot of time when we think about coaching, we think about like personal coaching, which is great. I still do, right? I call it fatherpreneur consulting, and that's like more.
Then why do you call it that?
Because we focus a lot on themselves and then their business, and becoming a business owner, not just a business operator, right? So it's more of like in tune, like, hey, it's a longer process, a year-long process, right? And then we just go really breaking down their business. So it's only for fathers who own businesses.
Do you mind if I share something with you?
No, please.
I love that name.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
No, I love that name. Entrepreneur is one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but a fatherpreneur, the father part's coming first.
Yeah.
Okay, which is exactly the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
There are way too many of us, me included, okay, who have owned businesses that were big businesses. I owned one of the largest real estate companies in North America, okay, at one time for 18 years. And there were times when I did not get to see my kids as much as I wanted to see my kids. I was not a fatherpreneur. No. Being a father was a big deal to me, but it was not the first thing. It needs to be the first thing. Yeah. I love that name. Yeah. And here's the deal with me, with my situation. I gave up radio in 2014 so that I could go chase my kids around in high school.
Oh, beautiful.
I wanted to be that dad that was at every game that I could possibly be at. So when they looked up in the stands, I was there. Okay, and I turned out to be that dad. I was a giant pain in the tuchus, right? I was on the board of directors for the school system, the whole thing. Yeah. Okay, my daughter called me. My daughter called me a few years ago, and she said, "Dad, I just did a presentation." She was a freshman in college at the time. She said, "Dad, I just did a presentation to my class." And I said, "Okay." And she said, while I was up in front of them talking about our family, it dawned on me that my junior year in high school, we were the perfect family. I hope one of your kids calls you and says something like that to you one of these days, okay? I'm not kidding you. It's one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. And I stopped and I said, okay, why did you say that? And she said, why do you feel that way? And she said, think about it. You were on the board of directors. You were the voice of the White Tiger football team. Still am, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Right? She said, you were up in the press box calling the play-by-play. I was on the sideline cheering and was the captain of the cheer team. Michael was the MVP of his basketball team. Mom was the president of the PBO.
Wow.
My junior year in high school, we were the perfect family.
Yeah.
Now, what do all of those things that I just mentioned to you have in common? They all are about us being involved in their education, okay? Actively involved.
Yeah.
Being that dad that I'm talking about, right? Being, for lack of a better term, a fatherpreneur, okay? Where the dad thing is first, the business thing is second. It has to be that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose your kids, okay? I sat with the founder of that charter school system. I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. And I told him, I said, Coach, the thing that's absolutely, completely clear in that conversation, in that story, is every single one of those things we were doing were at your school. At the school you created, literally 30 years ago, right? The school you created all those years ago, every single thing we were doing was about our involvement in that school.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful.
That was her we were the perfect family your junior year in high school. Okay? That's the kind of stuff that juices me. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's beautiful.
So, fatherpreneur.
Yeah, fatherpreneur. What I love what you're saying is too. It's like, so if you look at your family as a team, right, and then you have a game plan because you understand an outcome or you have a mission, it allows everybody to work together. You're able to have a different conversation.
You can rally together.
Exactly, because it's not just about our feelings. It's not just about us. It's for a bigger purpose.
Right.
And like, where do I fit into this purpose? Right. Obviously, care about your family's feelings and all that stuff, but it's about, let's move forward. Let's actually grow something. Let's actually get stronger. Let's get fitter. Let's get be a part of a community. Let's be part of this education. But let's do this together, right? So it's a beautiful thing. And again, it's such a big topic of what we stress is like, it's team, right? And not just about who's living in our house, but also around us, right? So my kids play basketball. They're basketball coach as well, but there is a varsity basketball coach. I coach the JV and the middle school team because that's, my kids' age. And I look at the varsity basketball coach as being an extension of what I teach in my household, right? So I rely on these different people in the community to be able to support, all right? And you have to actively pursue that. It doesn't just happen. Sometimes it does, but mostly because this is part of your guys' mission or your family's mission. And I love that.
Well, the biggest part of it is the coach isn't raising them, you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But you're using what the coach is teaching.
Yeah.
You're aware of what he's teaching.
Yeah.
Right? And you're using and utilizing, or for lack of a better term, leveraging what the coach is teaching. Right? And you're literally sitting with your son or your daughter, and you're saying, okay, coach is saying this. This is how it applies to you. This is how it applies to life. This is how it applies to what we're doing here. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
That's a big deal. It's a big deal to be, and I'm by the way, I know you can't tell, but I hide it well, but I'm incredibly passionate about this. The fatherless society, okay, and the dads who are there, but they're only there in title. Okay, they're only there, they're occupying a space in the house, but they're not literally raising the kids. Okay, that's a real issue. That's a real challenge, and that's why we do the mic time stuff. That's why I'm sharing all this with people. I called on a sign. This just happened about a month and a half ago. I call on a for rent sign that's in front of a house in Carlsbad for a client of mine, and I'm on the phone with him for over an hour, and nearly the entire time that I'm on the phone with him, he's asking me parenting advice. He's got an 11-year-old, 13-year-old, and 15-year-old.
Wow.
And he's asking me, so when your kids said this, what did you say? When your kids said this, what did you say? When you're, and I literally said to him, I said, I didn't say anything. And he goes, what? I said, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I asked them questions. So when they said something, I asked them questions. Okay? And he goes, Mike, do you have any idea how brilliant that is? And I'm like, no, not really. What are you talking about? He goes, you raised your kids using the Socratic method. I knew I did it, but I didn't do it thinking I was raising them with using the Socratic method, right?
Yeah.
I just know the power of questions.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is true today. If you walk up to a toddler, 2-year-old's throwing a fit, and you walk up to them and just get in their face and go, what's wrong? They'll stop crying, they'll look at you, and they'll want to answer you. They may not be able to answer you.
Uh-huh.
They'll want to, but they forget what they were upset about.
Yeah.
They literally just look at you like a dog that's heard a sound for the first time,
Yeah.
right? You come out of the womb programmed to answer questions, I promise you. Okay? So, a client of mine a few years ago, sitting at breakfast with him, and he's completely checked out. He's not focused on me. He's not, he just mentally just left me,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, dude, Vince, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up? He goes, you know our firstborn? I said, yeah. He goes, you know he's one? Yeah. He said, I'm really concerned, Mike. I said, what? He goes, we're having a conversation right now about what's wrong with him. I'm like, what's wrong with him? He goes, he hasn't said anything in 2 months. 2 months. I'm like, no, you're not talking about the same kid. This is the same kid that I get on the speakerphone with you, and he's riding in the car with you,
Mm-hmm.
and he's literally talking all this baby talk,
Yeah.
trying to be in the conversation. I would have conversations with him, Luke,
Yeah.
over the speakerphone,
Oh man.
right? I'd have a conversation. I just ask him questions, and he'd be back there in the back answering in his car seat.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm like, we're not talking about the same kid. He goes, yeah, we are. 2 months, he hasn't said a thing. So let me ask you a question. When he wants something, what does he do? He said he points and he grunts. It's okay. When you go home at the end of the day, what do? He said, I go home, he comes and runs up, I grab him, I hug him, I give him a big kiss, and I talk to him. I said, okay, stop doing that. What? I said, stop doing that. He said, which part? I said, well, give him a hug and a kiss, right? Be excited to see him.
Yeah.
But start asking him questions. Don't say a thing to him. Start asking him questions. He can't answer. Okay? He doesn't know the English language yet.
Yeah.
He can't answer. But ask him questions. Just nothing but questions for the rest of the evening. Okay? Okay. And I said, and when he points and grunts, by the way, I did this when I was a baby. When he points and grunts, make him tell you what it is. He's going to cry because he has you trained. He's got you wrapped around, okay? He's going to cry. Let him cry. Let him cry. And agree with Mama that you're going to do this, okay? It's a big deal. You got to get on the same page with your wife, right?
Absolutely.
But make him tell you, okay? 2 days later, I called him. I said, so how's it going? He goes, well, we're not worried anymore. I said, why is that? He goes, we can't get him to shut up.
It's so powerful,
The
right?
power
Yeah.
of questions
yeah.
is a huge deal. And you know who I learned that from? Tony flippin' Robbins.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't know anything about sales. I knew nothing about sales,
Yeah.
Luke. And then I get certified in sales mastery by the master himself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And what I learned was sales is not what I thought sales was. Okay? And I learned that I need to go to work figuring out, if I'm in sales, I need to go to work figuring out what's going on with whoever my prospect is, and figure out a way that whatever I have to sell can help solve whatever their challenge is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay? That's sales 101.
Yeah.
It's not any different when you're a dad. It's not any different. You're sitting with them and you're asking them, what's going on? Why are you down? Why are you upset? Why, what happened today? Okay? And you're pulling out of these children what's really going on with them, and then you figure out a way to solve it.
Yeah.
That's sales, dude. Being a dad isn't any different.
Yeah.
Okay? Mike. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, Do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out Calendly.com/Rio760.